Welcome to the first episode of the Success Sit Down Chaminade's Career Podcast. On today's episode, we have Mr. Derek Falb. Mr. Falb, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about your career development, maybe some advice you have for students interested in going into the business world, all that good stuff. And I also hear you are quite the Chaminade athlete class of 1992, correct?
Class of 1992, and as far as athletics, it was a different time. So I'm sad to say it's been almost 30 years since I graduated. But Chaminade's on a really good footing right now, athletically and academically. Obviously, it's top notch.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that, Chaminade will prepare you for college pretty well based on alumni and all that, but what were some of the values that were instilled in you personally that really helped you on your track to get where you are today?
That's a great question. Let me start by saying that I wouldn't be where I am today without Chaminade, and I don't think any other school would have given me what I needed to pursue my career and to do as well as I've done in my career. I think most importantly, it wasn't necessarily the classes. It was really the foundation that it helped lay with me. And it took a while, but a lot of the things I learned through Chaminade were, had to do with life skills. It was work hard to succeed. It was prepare, treat others with respect, learn to treat authority with respect, and if you get those foundational pieces laid at an early age, then you start going and advancing into your collegiate career, your professional career with the right foundation in place, and then it's easy to build upon that.
Yeah, really preparing you to be a more balanced overall man, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you went to SLU, correct?
Yes.
And walk us through your decision. I know you played sports, baseball, and basketball.
Yes.
But walk us through your decision majoring in college for students who are entering the admissions, part of their life. What advice do you have for them that would help them in their career preparation?
Sure. Well, going into college, let me say that Chaminade prepared me academically very well. I thought college was easier than high school from an academic standpoint. And you take fewer hours, fewer classes, and you have more time to do things outside of class. But going into my first year, I was surprised how much I was able to adjust to the academic rigors of college. And I was able to play two sports at the time because I was so prepared academically.
Gotcha.
Beyond that, I have a funny story. When I first enrolled at SLU, I hadn't declared a major yet. You don't really declare one, at least back then, until maybe your second year.
Right.
So I didn't know what I wanted to major in. And basketball season came around, and there was a program, and it stated in the program, what's your major? Well, I didn't know, so I went to my guidance counselor and I said, what should I put down there? She says, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know, maybe coach someday, or because I had a passion for athletics. And she goes, okay, we'll just put you down, as social work. I said, okay, great. Well, I didn't think anything of it, and then the first game comes around, and my dad gets the program, and he's looking through it. My dad was a lawyer. My mom was an engineer. My dad looks through it and he says, social work. So I get a phone call that night. He goes, what is going on here? I said, I said I wanted to coach. What's the big deal? He goes, absolutely not. And, to his credit, he goes, I don't care what you do, but that's not a career where you're going to make any money. And he goes, I'm not going to support you for the rest of your life. I said, okay. So then we started thinking through it. And then ultimately I chose business because I thought there's some things in business that intrigue me, and there are opportunities to elevate in business and be successful and make money. So then my second year, I transferred into the business school, and ultimately I found that I liked certain courses like accounting and finance, and then just went from there. and I ended up getting a business degree with a concentration in accounting.
Right. Okay. So accounting, they say language of business. Do you believe that really prepared you not just for that specific world of the numbers, but holistically in the business world?
Absolutely. So, as I've gone further in my career, I've noticed that there are a lot of people in the business world who don't necessarily understand the underlying fundamentals of accounting and
Mm-hmm.
how what they do translates into accounting, which ultimately translates into business, which is, the primary motive of business is you want to make money. So, the way we look at it is you have three elements in the business. It's get work, do work, and then keep score.
Okay.
So getting work is going out and trying to sell and market and business development.
Right.
Doing the work is executing it once you have an order from a customer. And then keeping score is all of the support, the accounting, and ultimately determining is what I'm doing making any money.
Gotcha.
So as I've learned along the way, and I was lucky enough with an accounting degree, is a lot of people go about doing their work and they don't understand how it translates into making money.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
if you have the accounting background or the finance background,
Mm-hmm.
understanding how money works within the organization, then it's pretty easy to go into some subject or some department that you're really passionate about, and then understand what I'm doing for the benefit of the company, creating value for the company, because I know based on what I'm doing, it's going to flow through and we're going to make this much money for the organization. You become that much more valuable to the organization, and then the organization essentially becomes much more successful.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's really kind of like a competitive advantage. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely, and in the position I'm in now, I've had the the privilege of hiring a lot of people, and you'd be surprised how few people in higher level management positions don't have the basic understanding of accounting within the business world.
Really?
And if you have that, I believe it puts you ahead of others as far as skill sets concerned. Because once you have all of that, you can break out into anything and still be valuable to the organization, because you can talk that language and you can tell your boss, this is why I want to do something, or this is why I want to pursue this project, because it's going to end up making us this amount of money. And that's really music to any senior leader's ears, is how are you going to make this company more money and be more valuable to the organization.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is really incredible insight. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Now, out of SLU, did you go to law school? Did you get your MBA? Walk us through.
So I graduated and went directly into the business school to get my MBA, because I had so many credits. It would only take a year if I went through the summer to get my MBA. So I thought that would be really good on a resume
Mm-hmm.
to start out my career once I got the MBA, because I thought once I started work, it'd be difficult to go back to school and try to balance those two. Going back, after I got my MBA, I started work,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple of years into my first job, which was as a stockbroker, and then I moved from stockbroker into investment banking at one of the local brokerage firms.
Okay.
But 2 years into it in investment banking, my boss said to me, I think to enhance your skill set, you ought to go back to law school and do it at night
Well,
at your expense. And basically, what you learn from law school, I think, will help you in the investment banking world and help you move up in the organization and market yourself elsewhere if you want to go elsewhere. I said, okay. And I was able to juggle a full-time employment with going to law school at night.
yeah. Wow.
But, with business school and law school, I go back to Chaminade.
Mm-hmm.
Without learning time management and prioritization and how to juggle a bunch of different projects at once, none of that would have been possible.
Yeah, and those things obviously were essential.
Oh, absolutely.
Chaminade instilled in you. So, when deciding what you wanted to do past college, you mentioned investment banking
Mhm.
and a stockbroker. What allowed you to find that specific career?
So as far as what I was doing, I always had a pretty good skill set with math.
Mm-hmm.
But then getting into the stock brokerage world, understanding stocks and how they fit in individual portfolios, that was interesting to a certain extent. But when I got into investment banking, that's what really drew my passion. And it was, uh, if you're not familiar with it, a lot of things with investment banking can be misconstrued. But it's essentially you're trying to figure out strategically for an organization how to properly capitalize it. Meaning what kind of money do you want to use to grow the business?
Right.
And then it's also a lot of mergers and acquisitions, so
Mm-hmm.
buy and sell companies, and that's the part that really intrigued me. And the reason was, a company comes up for sale or wants to sell itself. The first thing you want to know is, well, what's it worth? What can I sell it for? How much is it going to cost to buy it? And to determine that, you use a lot of your accounting skills, a lot of your finance skills, and a lot of your math skills to put together models and sensitivity analyses and the like, and really have the analysis and the backing of how you go about negotiating a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does the math component, the accounting and finance component, but then you get into the legal component. So their documentation, you got to figure out what am
Right.
I buying, what kind of risk am I taking, what kind of promises am I making in the
Gotcha.
deal. So a lot of that I thought was really cool, and it's at such a breakneck pace that there were times early in my career where 80, 90, 100-hour weeks of work were commonplace and a lot of travel.
Yeah.
But the adrenaline from trying to close a deal
The
or
excitement.
having
Yeah.
the inside information, how it's going to affect the stock price, or if you've ever seen the movie Wall Street, it's dramatized, of course, but really there is that deal momentum and that adrenaline
Right.
that you get that keeps you going, and you go from one deal to the next, and it just becomes really, really exciting. But it's a pace that's hard to to go at for a long
To
period
keep
of time.
up. I gotcha. Yeah. And I understand now you are chairman, president, and CEO at the CIC Group.
Correct.
Would you be able to explain to us what exactly the CIC Group does?
Sure.
And
So, to give you a little background, in my investment banking days, one of my clients was CIC Group. My
Really?
my former boss obviously cultivated that relationship, but I got to work with CIC Group
Mhm.
and did quite a bit of work on their capital structure, their stock program, some of the companies they bought and sold. So there was an opportunity when CIC Group's chief financial officer was reaching retirement age and he was looking for a succession plan. So he reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested. And then that became a difficult choice. Did I want to leave investment banking and go into what I call the private sector? But the reason that I made the choice was the culture, the environment. But it was very similar to investment banking. And here's why. CIC is a holding company. So it when I say holding company, it holds interests in a bunch of different portfolio companies.
Mhm.
So CIC we don't generate any revenue, but we manage and we basically invest in all of these other companies. And all of those companies, there are probably 20 or so worldwide. We work in all parts of the world,
Sure.
even some of the more dangerous parts of the world. But essentially, what we do is engineering and construction. So one part of our business is designing, and we call it procuring or supplying this big equipment for huge power plants. And that equipment is, without boring you with all the details, it's heat recovery type equipment for power plants to become more efficient, and it's cooling technology. So basically, using air and water to cool a lot of the heat coming out of these power plants.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, once we engineer and supply all the equipment, we have a group that also builds it.
Okay.
So it's from cradle to grave is what we do. And,
Okay.
and to use the acronym, it's called an EPC, Engineering, Procurement, and Construction Group.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. And you obviously have a management position.
Yes.
So, what does day to day as chairman, president, and CEO? What are some of the things you deal with? Obviously, human interactions, but the logistical side.
The most difficult thing in my current position, because I started out as a treasurer and then I moved into um, essentially the CFO role,
Mhm.
and then moved into the CEO role over time. And the thing that shocked me, because I've been in my current role for probably 8 years now, but what shocked me is what little output that I have during the day. So as the treasurer, I would create all these reports and I'd run numbers and I'd create books and analyses for potential deals and whatnot. Well, as I moved up to the CEO position, I had people that did that for me. So it became a lot of people interaction. And essentially what I do now is try to set the standard and the culture for the organization, the strategic plan, and beyond that, it's really managing people. It's putting the right people in the right spots, trying to get the right people to buy in to a certain strategy. And to the extent there are conflicts within the organization, then I have to get involved.
Sure.
It's a lot of stockholder relations, a lot of investor relations, a lot of media stuff. But beyond that, the day-to-day operations are really left to the people at the business units or the various subsidiaries that we have.
Gotcha. Yeah. So really that soft skills of human interaction,
Absolutely.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
That how do you think that either Chaminade or college really prepared you for that side of the job? Would you say?
Chaminade, again, I go back to the foundation, and it's the motto "Esto vir" is "be a man." But
Right.
I go back to it's not really about being macho or anything like that. It's about learning to treat others with respect, learning
Right.
respect for authority,
Mhm.
and it's learning empathy and sympathy. And sports was actually a big part of it, but it's learning that certain people are motivated different ways, and if you can find the right person, and you can figure out how that person's motivated, and you can recognize that person and reassure that person that what they're doing is valuable. I think it's a recipe for success. And what you learn from Chaminade, and I did from teachers and the administration and coaches here, is uh, if you treat somebody with respect and you show them you care about them,
Mhm.
a lot of people have a lot of talent, and you can tap into that talent as long as they know there's a purpose and that they're recognized and that they're valued as a
Right.
part of the organization.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very valuable advice. And as we're on this topic of Chaminade, I'd like to wrap up with one simple question. What do you know now, where you are now, very successful, and gone through all sorts of different jobs, investment banking, now CEO. What do you know now that you wish you knew in high school?
That's a great question, and uh, I don't want to begin to say there's a certain recipe for success, but uh, I think it's twofold. One, the harder you work, the more likely it is you'll succeed.
Gotcha.
So you have to embrace the grind, and you have to work harder than others.
Hmm.
You always have to think that something's at risk. So you got to stay motivated to make sure that what you're doing, whether it's working harder in the gym or staying later at work or taking on extra assignments, it's putting forth that work ethic that'll lead you to more opportunity and probably more success. Uh, so with all of that behind you, I think beyond that, it's relationships And it's, if you work hard, you put yourself in the right spot, and then you're able to work with others and show empathy, and make people believe that you're interested in them, and you're interested in their well-being, then you'll get people that are more motivated to do well for you. And so with personal work ethic, and then motivational tactics,
Hmm.
I think you can create a successful organization no matter where you are.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Falb. This has been incredibly insightful. Really appreciate you
Honored to
taking
do it.
time out of your day. Um, Thanks for watching the first episode of the Success Sit Down. You can find us on the Cardinal and White newspaper and CSPN network, and we will be posting another episode or article soon, so stay tuned. Thanks again, Mr. Falb.
You
Really
bet. Nice
appreciate it.
job.
All right.